ACL injuries, it's with the traumatic ones, it's sort of an unpredictable event. So when something, when you hit something or somebody hits your knee, your knee bones will kind of shift. That's very hard to prevent. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that the patient's body has a capacity to bear load, and also capacity to contract the right muscles so that the knee becomes more stable. So one of the big things that I see in athletes is that they actually become very quad dominant. So they're doing a lot of jumping activities, a lot of squatting, heavy lifting, where the quad actually becomes significantly larger than the back of the knee, so your hamstring muscles in here. So what we usually like to do is involve more hamstring strengthening, which will help create a more stable joint. So we usually like to have a ratio of strength on the front of the leg, your quad muscles, and the strength on the back of your leg, your hamstring muscles. So first and foremost, you always want to speak to the person that's providing the programming for the athletes and for the players. So you want to ask them, are they doing a lot of leg presses, squats, things that will affect the front of the leg quite a bit. And if they are, you want to sort of balance it out with programming for the back of the leg. So if we take a look at the back of Brandon's leg, you can see that usually when you look at the front of the leg, you can see you can almost separate the muscles. But in here, not so much. So a lot of people become more quad dominant than hamstring dominant, so they use more of the front of their leg. So what I like to do is do a lot of muscle testing to see whether or not the patient or the athlete has adequate strength and endurance. So if we get Brandon to kind of push against my hand here, and we get him to pull down, he's not too bad, but we like to a lot of times you get a lot of shakiness, usually in this region up in here, and as well as the region down here. So Brandon, hold nice and strong. So we like to make sure that all our patients have strength along the entire range of motion of the knee. We'll go into some hamstring stability and hamstring endurance exercises next. So what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate with Brandon on how to do a proper glute bridge. What that will do is that will strengthen his core, but also strengthen his hips on both sides. Progression for this exercise, you can do it one leg versus the other leg. You can put, or one leg at a time, you can put weight on. Right now we'll just do the most basic two-legged glute bridge. So what we're going to get Brandon to do is to keep his muscles nice and contracted, and what he's going to do is he's actually going to lift his hips up like a unit together, and he's going to push with his legs and his hamstrings and his glutes to push up and hold this position. So I want you to kind of try and touch your belly to my hand. Good. So you're going to try and hold that, hold that, hold that, hold that. Good. So what this will do, this will help contract the hip, and that will help with stability in the knee. So you're going to go back down, slowly lower yourself back down, all the way down. Good. You're going to do that again. Push, 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 push. Hold strong, hold strong. Good. Come back down. One more time, just for demonstration purposes. Good. Hold strong, hold strong, hold strong. Squeeze. Good. Okay, come back down. So with these exercises, that's a very good exercise to activate the whole chain of command. So not just your legs and your hamstrings, but also your core and your back. A lot of times people who get knee injuries, the source of the problem might not just be the knee, but it can actually be the stability of the knee. And a lot of times stability of the knee comes from your hips. So this exercise will target all the muscles that are involved in leg movements. So here we have Brandon on the Swiss ball. He's going to demonstrate with my help another exercise that I like to give patients and athletes. Very simple to help engage their hamstring contraction. So very, very simple. A lot of gyms, a lot of athletes tend to be on a Swiss ball, but here we have him lying on the floor with the Swiss ball underneath his legs. And what we like to do is we like to do that same heel to buttock contraction with him holding it. So I usually get patients to hold it for 15 to 30 seconds depending upon their level, and we get them to repeat that 8 to 10 times, 3 sets. This all depends on what the patient's activity level is and what their level of experience is before we try and do this. But this is very simple that any athlete can perform. So let's get Brandon to do it right now. So what you want to try and do is you almost want to try and dig your heels and bring your heels towards your bum and try and pull the ball almost towards your buttock area. Just make sure that Brandon's back and the patient's back is nice and straight and flat, that he's pulling in. You just start to feel that it's getting pretty tired, and you're going to relax. So I always like to do around 10-second rest in between, and that will help Brandon's hamstrings relax. Then he's going to do it again. So you're going to pull in, pull. This will really help improve an athlete's endurance for that hamstring muscle. Back to the ACL tears, because you have that big imbalance, well, sometimes an imbalance between your quad muscles. So to prevent that, we want to actually strengthen your hamstring muscles. So your hamstrings are on the back of your legs. A lot of people do complain of tight hamstrings. So what I usually like to do is involve an exercise, like I said before, about flexibility as also strength at the same time. So most people and most coaches, players, when they do a warm-up, they tend to stretch their hamstrings either with a straight leg, especially like this, or they'll go up on a bench or a table and they'll stretch like this. One of the big things that reported to me in my experience is that when patients or athletes stretch with a straight leg, they actually don't feel the stretch in the middle portion of the muscle here itself. They actually feel it in the back of the knee. So there is a better stretch and strengthening exercise that is I find is more effective for the knee and for the hamstring. We'll go into that next. One of the big things what you want to do with your patient or with yourself is you want to stand straight up, and you want to get something that's a little bit more elevated, and you're going to step onto the bench itself. So what this will do is this will actually keep your hip at 90 degrees, and you want to keep your hip back. So you don't want to keep your back like this, you want to keep it nice and back. Your hamstring is actually attached to the bottom part of your bum area, so to the tuberosity, to the bone right on the back here. So if by keeping it like this, you're not actually stretching, you're not actually keeping it taut. You want to keep it nice and back and straight up like that. The next thing what you want to do is you want to kind of lean your body down. So you almost want to keep a nice straight neutral spine. You want to bring your chest kind of down towards your knee. You should already start to feel some tension building up in your hamstring itself just by doing that, especially for people who report tight hamstrings. Once you start to feel that tension as well, then you can start to straighten the knee back ever so much, just like this. When you begin to start feeling the tension, then you can stop and get your body comfortable with this new range of motion. Once you start to feel that new tension, what you can actually do is you can actually start doing a strengthening component of this exercise. So the strengthening component, what you want to do is you actually want to almost contract your hamstring muscle itself. So the hamstring is involved in pulling your heel towards your bum, so just like this. So that's the movement that we want to perform. So the key is that you don't actually want your knee to move or your leg to move, your lower leg. You actually want to just pull against it and build up tension in your hamstring muscle itself. So as I'm pulling back, I only want to hold this tension and pulling for about 10 to 15 seconds. You'll see some shaking. You should feel some more tension building in your hamstrings as you do this. After the 15 seconds elapses or finishes, you want to slowly relax the hamstring and then go into a little bit more of a stretch there. What that'll do is that'll actually trick your body into relaxing the muscle itself, and then you should be able to sink down a little bit more. And then you can repeat this process. So once your body's become more comfortable with the new range of motion, you can contract your muscles again and try and pull that heel towards your bum. So you get that. After that 15 seconds, and you relax.